comments from our two reactors as well as for these questions. Just very quickly, your question, Vic, about the risk of constitutional change that may undercut the rights of minority groups. I won't venture very far into that, but the fact is that once the Constitution is opened up, all kinds of things can potentially be changed. So we may approach this and say, okay, it would be good to do A, B, and C in a process of constitutional change, but there's certainly a risk that many things that are cherished within the current Constitution could be undermined. That's just a basic fact of constitutional revision. But at the same time, don't forget that it will need a plebiscite at the end of the day as well, which is an opportunity for those who wouldn't like the changes to say, well, there's enough in there that I find objectionable, that I wouldn't want to vote for the whole package, or deciding, well, these changes are small and I'm happy with the larger chunk. So there ultimately does have to go back to the voters, of course. The question about the role of planning and M&E and statistics, I'll focus just on the planning part of that and sort of pick up on a comment that Professor Rasool had as well on the regional planning process as it currently exists. And you've noted, Salma, that there's all kinds of limitations with that process, that it's mere recommendations. It's been around for a long time. And I think that many of us looking at that process would see a lot of dysfunctionality in it. But that doesn't mean it cannot be fixed. If the country can think of something as major as federalism, surely it can contemplate something that is still challenging, but far more tractable in terms of strengthening the regional planning process. The recommendations that come out of the regional development councils go up to the national government agencies that decide whether or not they are going to fund them. And I'm not sure I've got my stats right on this, but it seems like in infrastructure only 20% get funded. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a small percentage get funded. So by the time the money comes back down, there's no more integrity to a regional planning process. So to my mind, it would make a lot more sense to be giving out funds with, as Professor Magno has pointed out, performance management criteria to the regional development councils, and to be building mechanisms for better collaboration between the regional level and the national level. And there have already been some recommendations that have been proposed of, sounds boring, but it's important, the budget form C, in which there are ways in which you can have better articulation between the national and the regional level on budget proposals, and again, more integrity to the regional planning process. This leads to a larger point, which I will close on. Much more I could say. It's just that when there is discussion of the big change of federalism, and some, not all, presenting it as being the thing that's going to fix the polity because other things haven't worked in the past, it tends to take the oxygen out of a lot of very important discussions of incremental change that have already been out there. And I'm looking at Dr. Manasan because I know that there's some really great ideas that have come out of the recommendations that she was involved in the study of the local government code and its fiscal provisions through the ADB. I don't know exactly where that stands, but my sense is that the big wave of federalism has taken away a lot of the energy from what are some very important proposals about how to build better revenue capacity at the local level. So let's view federalism potentially as a huge opportunity cost, something that has just sort of swamped the rest of the discussion and has actually undermined important reforms of central-local relations in the Philippines, potentially. Thank you.